you're not clear on what the fuck you are not tolerating in 2025 from 2024 and what you are focusing your energy on and a big ins for you this year, do this for yourself. It's such a great gift to give yourself to get clear on what you're no longer fucking tolerating and what you are calling in and who you're becoming in 2025. Welcome to the She Who Dares podcast. I'm your host, Krystal Wilson, the founder of She Who Dares. I'm a specialized breakthrough and mindset coach, business mentor, online course creator, and your number one no BS hype woman. I'm here to remind you who the fuck you are and reignite your personal power through powerful and expanding conversations on all things business, mindset, and energetics, to help you break through to your next level of success in all areas of your life, business, and bank account. Each episode is designed to expand your mind, shift your identity, raise your frequency, as well as give you success strategies to help you step into your highest, most powerful, abundant, successful, and magnetic you. So, I dare you to join me each episode, and I double dare you to implement what you learn and go all in on you. All in on your life, your business, your success. Because if you do, like so many of my She Who Dares clients and students, you will become everything that you know deep down you can be. Ready? Let's friggin' do this. Welcome back to another episode of the She Who Dares podcast. I'm your host, Krystal Wilson. Thank you for being here. Can I just say, you guys are busting my heart out of my chest. We received our very first reviews on Apple Podcast. They were so beautiful. I just want to say thank you so much to those of you who have been listening and have left us our very first reviews. This is episode 10 and we've got 3 reviews, and I'm taking that as a massive celebration. So thank you so much to those of you who took the time to write those beautiful reviews. I absolutely loved reading them. Today, we're going to have some fun because it is already basically halfway through January. And I have been seeing so many people do their 2025 ins and outs. And I was like, I want to do a podcast episode on this. I've been doing such deep reflection on my 2024 and really looking at like, what am I not bringing into 2025 for me? So this feels super authentic to me. And when I was doing my ins and outs and the ones I'm going to share with you today on the podcast, they are very much like specific and authentic to me. So reflecting on my 2024, what worked, what didn't work, and what am I absolutely no longer tolerating from myself in 2025. And then what are the things that I'm like massive in and going to be focusing on a lot more this year and bringing a lot more attention to. So let's get into it. My 2025 ins and outs. Let's start with ins. So if you follow me on my private Instagram at I am Krystal Wilson, you may have seen me post about wanting to really up-level my nighttime sleep routine. And part of that was actually no longer using my phone as my alarm. So a big in for me in 2025 is the sunrise alarm that I purchased on Amazon. I might actually put the link for you guys below in the show notes because I've had so many people reach out to me about this alarm. And it was something I purchased kind of like in December, and then I set up and I've been using it now for like the last week and a bit, and it's so good. It literally wakes you up to a sunrise and then you can pick your sound. So I'm waking up every morning to a sunrise and birds chirping. Using this alarm is part of a bigger goal that I have, which is really changing my relationship with my phone. And so what I wanted to do, and a big in, is no longer using my phone as my alarm, and the in is using the sunrise alarm clock. So a second in for me is no phones after 9 p.m. This is something that Bruce and I are basically, we both really want to change our relationship with our phones. More so, probably me, and Bruce is just such a supportive partner that he's coming along for the ride. And so we just kind of like mindlessly scroll in the evening, like watch documentaries, mindlessly scroll. And so we really wanted to change our relationship in the evening with our phone. So we're starting at 9 p.m. So we've been doing it all this week. 9 p.m. an alarm goes off and our phones go in the drawer and away. And we've done pretty good. There was one night where I had someone message me at 8 o'clock, a client, which is another one of my things that is out, is messaging people late at night. And I started working with a client. So I broke it one night, but it's been really good putting our phones away. Now we're just starting with 9 p.m. and we're going to slowly work that time down. Ideally, I'd love phones away at 8 p.m. so that we can just connect, watch a great documentary, because another one of my ins is absolutely watching documentaries. I'm a big doco girl. So that's been really good. And it's been interesting putting our phones away at 9 o'clock and then noticing how often I have the thought to go and grab my phone. And that's just been super interesting, and just building that discipline and like taking back control over my relationship with my phone. This actually is a big in for me, changing my relationship with my phone and social media. It became super apparent to me where I could no longer ignore how addicted I am, like totally unconsciously, to my phone. And it was actually towards the end of last year, I was listening to a podcast on my laptop using my Apple headphones. And I was listening to this podcast. However, I kept picking up my phone. And every time I picked up my phone, it would disconnect me from the podcast I was listening to and connect me to Instagram, where I was scrolling. And the first time I did it, I was like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I'm listening to this podcast. And I put my phone down, and I shit you not, within 90 seconds, I had picked my phone back up and scrolling. And I do this behavior so unconsciously that I'm not even often aware of it. But because my Apple iPods kept disconnecting me from the podcast I was listening to, it was so obvious how often I just unconsciously picked up my phone and started scrolling. And it was a real wake up call to me that I have a really toxic relationship with my phone. It wasn't like this is the epiphany. Like, I already knew that this was something I wanted to change, but just having this experience and realizing how every 90 seconds I am pre-programmed, because of this kind of like neural pathway that I built, to unconsciously pick up my phone and scroll. It just became super apparent to me. I could not ignore it any longer. So that was kind of like an incident that happened that really made it such a big in for me in 2025 to completely change my relationship with my phone, my relationship with social media. And when I say completely change, I'm not putting like drastic cold turkey like expectations on myself. I am slowly building the habit. And that's why one of our ins for 2025 is putting our phone away at 9 p.m. We're starting there. Then like next week, we're going to go to 8:30. And my goal is to get to 8 p.m. phones away. And so that's just been super interesting this week, keeping that commitment and promise to myself. There've been a couple of little hurdles, but I don't focus on my slip ups. I focus on my commitment to stay focused on my goal and how well I've done. And I'm really proud of how well I've done. Another in for 2025, this is so big on like my evening routine, is reading before bed. If you've followed me for a little while, I had a huge goal of reading like 20 books in 2023. I really fell out of love with reading. And I think that was due to like many, many years being a coach and a mentor and in this space, and just like reading so many personal development self-help books that I hadn't picked up a fiction book in such a long time. And I just found it really hard to like get into personal development books. I'd been reading them for so many years that I was kind of like over it. So I set myself a goal in 2023 to read 20 books. And the intention was to read no more personal development, no more educational books, and to just really fall back in love with reading. And it was amazing. I like hyper fixated all year long. I read 33 books in 2023, which is the most amount of books I've ever read in a year. And I read like all the crime, thriller, mystery, all the books, Colleen Hoover, all the Ends with Us books. Who else did I read? So many books. And I really fell in love with reading. And then last year, what I noticed is I tried to keep reading those books. And I just, again, like, I just like, so my personality, I like go all in on something to the point that then I'm like, I can never read another fiction book again. So basically in 2024, I only read maybe 5 or 6 books, which is still great. Like, I'm really proud of that. It was still a habit that I, maintained throughout the year, but I just found it difficult. I just couldn't get into my groove last year. I felt like the thriller, crime, mystery, fiction books just weren't grabbing me in the way that they did in 2023. So then this year, I've just felt such a big, strong pull to start reading personal development and educational books again. Like, I really feel like it's something I really want to do versus probably, in the last decade, I felt like it was something I had to do to be a coach, to be a mentor, to like constantly be upgrading my own mindset and learning new things. And I feel like something that I was once passionate about, I lost that passion for, and it became something I felt I had to do. So what's really nice is feeling that genuine desire to want to read educational, self-improvement, self-help books again. And so one of my big ins for 2025 is reading before bed again, like building that habit, that routine, which I've been doing. I've already read 2 books this year. One was an autobiography, which I love. I love autobiographies. I love people's stories and just learning about people's resilience and the things they've overcome. And the second book was Atomic Habits. So that was really cool. Been reading every night and I'm loving that. So that's really improving my sleep, because another one of my big ins for 2025 is really improving my nighttime routine and my sleep. So the sunrise alarm, putting my phone away at 9 p.m., reading before bed, this is all part of me improving my evening routine and just getting better quality sleep. And I've already noticed that. For those of you who kind of, follow me or have been listening to the podcast, from September last year, I did pretty intense IVF protocol back to back. And one of the medications that I was on for IVF was a really strong steroid. And my IVF doctor prescribed me that steroid, which causes insomnia. It comes with a plethora of side effects, as some of which I'm still experiencing right now, which I'll kind of get into at another time. But she prescribed me a sleeping aid while I was taking that. And so since September, like basically every night, I've been taking a sleeping tablet to help me sleep, to counteract the steroid that causes insomnia. And so even though at the kind of the second week of December, I stopped taking those steroids because we finished IVF after a couple of fails, what I noticed, I kept taking the sleeping aid. And so I'm really proud of myself, because this is all about improving my evening routine, improving my sleep. I'm not taking that sleeping aid all week, and I'm kind of like winged cold turkey, really. And it's really good. Like, putting the phones away at 9 p.m., reading before bed, not taking that sleeping aid anymore, and just seeing such a huge improvement in my sleep. Like, improving our quality of sleep, massive in for 2025, guys. Okay, so another in was the reading biographies and reading personal development books. Massive in for me in 2025. Another big in for me in 2025 is my morning power declarations. I've got them on like post-it notes all over my wardrobe. So when I wake up in the morning and I'm having my morning coffee, I'm repeating these power statements to myself, these power declarations. And it's just really about like priming my morning. So that I'm priming my mindset. I'm aligning myself to my goals, my vision, and everything that I am creating for myself in 2025. So power statements, power affirmations, like priming your morning and getting ready for your day, big in for me in 2025. Another big in for me in 2025 is scripting. This is something that I've done many times over the last like decade. It's something that I really picked up intentionally in June of last year. And I consistently did it all the last 6 months of 2024. And it just had such a profound positive impact on my mindset and how grounded I was, my intuition, my trust, my business. Honestly, it was like one of the biggest gifts I gave myself in 2024 was scripting. And so that's another big in for me in 2025 is like continuing with scripting in the morning and really speaking into my life now all that I am committed to creating, all that I'm manifesting, all that I'm calling in for myself in 2025. So scripting, future pacing, or visioning, there's lots of different names for it. Big in 2025. Another big in for me is Pilates. I rejoined at the end of last year and I just love Pilates and I'm really committed to 3 Pilates sessions a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that's my commitment. And the habit that I'm building is going those 3 mornings every week. So Pilates or moving your body or whatever it is for you, big in for 2025. Another big in for me is boundaries. You've probably heard me talking a lot about this. I think towards the end of last year, it just became super apparent to me that I have got some really fucking leaky, toxic boundaries that I have created, that I have perpetuated, and that I need to take radical responsibility for and I need to change. I think especially getting ready, and we're doing a lot more IVF this year and really calling in motherhood, falling pregnant. The way that I've run my business and how available I have been and how I've operated definitely is not aligned energetically with me being a mom. And so I'm cleaning up those leaky boundaries, cleaning up that leaky energy, taking responsibility for it so that I can energetically let the universe, God, know, like I'm ready. Let's go. Let's fucking fall pregnant in 2025. Massive in for me, falling fucking pregnant in 2025. I feel like we've been on such a long fertility journey for the last 8 years. I think we're going into our 9th year. I could do a whole podcast series on my fertility journey, but a big in for me is falling pregnant. Oh my God, I can't even say it without getting emotional. Falling pregnant in 2025. And I say that with hope and love and fear and all the emotions because, that was my intention last year. And so it was very difficult towards the end of last year to be finishing another year and that not having happened for us. But we are picking ourselves back up and we're doing lots of different new things in the new year with IVF. So maybe I'll do some episodes there. That's something you guys are interested in, like let me know because lots of things are happening in our IVF journey and we are flipping it on its head and doing things very differently this first kind of Q1 of 2025. So big in is me being pregnant. Krystal Wilson will be fucking pregnant in 2025. So another big in, I'm claiming this to myself and I want to invite you to claim it to all my entrepreneur girlies, my business girlies, is unapologetically like making a lot of fucking money in 2025. Like for me, I've just decided that I can have it all and I can be it all as long as I am being my most authentic self, as long as I'm looking after myself. This is why all of these things are helping me to step into the version of myself that can hold all the things that I want. So another big in for me is like as women, like unapologetically claiming and creating and making a lot of fucking money in 2025. That's my goal. That's my intention. Another big in for 2025 is fucking listening to our intuition, my intuition, your intuition, for you, for me, for us, for all of us. So trusting our intuition. Big fucking in 2025. And I tell you, my last in for 2025 is this fucking podcast. Like, have you subscribed? Have you left me a review? Are you listening every week? This podcast is a big fucking in for 2025. Okay, let's now flip it. Let's talk about things that are completely out for me in 2025. This will come as no surprise, but my fucking toxic relationship with my phone addiction, that is a complete out. I am creating habits, structures, plans, strategies. I put so much in place already in the first like week and a bit of 2025 to really build new habits with my phone that actually support me being the version of myself that I desire to become this year, who has all the things that I am creating this year. And I'll tell you what, I often use this language with my like business mentor clients. Like if I'm stepping into like a 7-figure business owner, or if you're stepping into like a multi 6-figure business owner, I want you to think about your habits that you currently have that need to fucking die, even the identity that you have that needs to die so that you can rebirth into the version of yourself who can actually hold and create the things that you want. And so for me, like there's no way that I can create the business, the money, the impact, and become a mum, do all the things I want to do this year and going forward, like fucking addicted to my phone. Absolutely not bringing that with us in 2025. So, massive out is our toxic relationship with our phone, our addiction to our phone, and social media. Big out for me. Another big out for me is like low frequency habits. So I just finished reading Atomic Habits. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. It's been recommended to me so many times over like whatever it was released the last 5 years. And I just never really felt a pull to read it. But I had this huge pull to read it. I purchased it maybe in December. It was the first book I read this 2025, so in the last like week and a bit. And I was so ready to receive that information. I was so ready to implement. It was like the perfect book for me at the perfect time because I had already been like looking at my habits, behaviors with my phone, my nighttime routine, my work habits that weren't supporting me. And so it really was just such a beautiful affirmation of like, I'm on the right path. This is what I need to do. What I also loved about reading Atomic Habits is it's the first time I've ever read the book. And it was like such a beautiful confirmation to me because this is what I teach and preach. Like, this is what I teach my clients. This is what I implement. Like, so much of what was in that book is stuff that I practice and teach my clients intuitively. So for me as a coach and mentor, it was super cool. And this happens quite often actually when I read books. A lot of what I'm reading, like, wow, that's so cool. Like, I'm already doing that. I already teach this intuitively. So that was cool. Another big out for this is going to be no surprise. I feel like my outs and my ins are so like deeply interlinked. But another out for 2025 is toxic evening and morning routines, or like unconsciously just like waking up with no intention, no practices, and doing the same in the evening. Big out for me. I fully know exactly what I want my evening and morning routines to be. I've already set up and started doing a lot of it. I feel like I have enough awareness to know that when we go all in, sometimes we fall back. So I'm like slowly building the habits. Like this week I'm focusing on this. Then I brought this in. And so I'm building those habits versus, trying to run a marathon on the first day of running. Make sense? Another out for me, and maybe you need to look at this as well, is being fucking available 24/7. This is such a big one for me. And I always say everything works until it doesn't. And so being available and like answering messages, answering emails, 6 a.m., 10 p.m., that has kind of worked for me up until the end of last year. And it was just because it became aware to me, like how I just don't have enough boundaries. And that's my own fault. And that I'm just available all the time. And it's no problem. Like people can message me whenever the fuck they want. Like it's absolutely ridiculous of me to expect people to only message me when it suits me. I fucking hate people who teach boundaries in that way. Boundaries are a personal thing that I need to honor. It's not about other people honoring my boundaries. It's about me honoring my boundaries. And so it just became really apparent to me that I am available all the time and that is no longer going to work for me. And I need to like actually honor my boundaries because I was the one who kept breaking them. Or I guess I wasn't breaking them because I didn't even feel like I had any. So I'm implementing boundaries that I'm not available 24/7. And that's honestly because I want to show up in every exchange, every interaction, every connection that I have, being my best, whole, awesome fucking self. And if I have leaky boundaries, leaky energy, and I'm showing up in a reactive way all the time, I'm not giving people my best self. So for me, this is a big one in 2025, and it's going to take some work on my behalf because I've already just noticed, like I'm aware of it now and I'm doing what I can, but I've noticed just this week, like, I mean, I had a client message me at 8 p.m. and I opened the message and then it was like an hour of like interacting and checking things for them. And that's not their fault. Like it's my fault. I opened the message, I engaged, and it's like I really need to like get good at like not looking at my phone or like locking myself out of Messenger. And there are apps to do that, which is super cool. So like I'm not being so reactive and I'm not available all the time because the thing is like nobody in my life, my clients, my family, my friends, nobody expects me to be available 24/7. Nobody messages me at 9 p.m. and actually expects that I'll be on my phone and able to answer their question at that time. Nobody expects that of me. I have created a world where I'm just so available. It's a me problem and it's something that I really am going to change and work on in 2024 because also a multi 6-figure 7-figure business owner isn't fucking answering messages 24/7. Absolutely not. These leaky behaviors for me are things that I'm changing because I got big goals, big vision, big things I want to create this year and next year and the year after, and calling in becoming a mum. And these behaviors just do not support the vision that I have for myself. And they are energetic blocks. They're things blocking me from being able to hold and create what I want to create. So another out for me, and it should be for everyone. I actually did a coaching call with a client this morning and we had a really big talk about this, is complaining, blaming, victimhood. We are all guilty of this. Some of us, it's the only frequency we play in. And so I've done huge growth in my victimhood story and blaming and complaining, but it's just something I want to be like really be more consciously aware of in 2025 and not feeding any low level energies, like not feeding my complaining, not feeding my blaming, like taking responsibility, like calling myself out when I slip into victimhood. And so I want to invite you to do the same, because if you were to just look at your complaining, your blaming, and how often you slip into victimhood, and you actually took radical responsibility for that in 2025, that would have such a fucking profound impact on your life, your results, your relationships, your money, all of it. Another out for me, which has like already been a bit of an out in 2024, is fucking gluten. Oh, guys, I have like a gluten intolerance, but I can eat gluten. But if I eat too much gluten, then my body will like have a full-on meltdown. And so while we were doing IVF at the end of 2024, I was doing no gluten just because my body was on so much medication and already under so much stress. I just did gluten-free, that I wasn't adding any additional stress to my body. However, we have started working with a new kind of IVF herbalist. And I mean, this could be a whole episode, but we did strict gluten-free from September to basically the end of November last year. We have to do that again, but it's got to be really strict. And we're cleaning up our diet in a big way. No gluten, no dairy, no alcohol. We did the no gluten and no alcohol while going through IVF, but we're a bit lax on the dairy. I mean, I'm like 1/16th Italian, which is a joke, a running joke, a personal joke. But anyway, there is Italian in my mother's side. And I just tell people I'm 1/16th Italian because Italy is my soul home. I love Italian people. Anything Italian, I'm down for. And so I'm like, I can't give up Parmesan cheese. And this herbalist was like, there's this thing called nutritional yeast, which of course I've heard of. And I'm like, please, I'm 1/16th Italian. I can't be eating fucking nutritional yeast. I need Parmesan cheese in my life. Anyway, so an out for me in 2025 is freaking gluten, and everything tastes better with gluten in it. So that's going to be just a thing that I'm going to work through. And I've done it before and I'll do it again. But the no dairy, I don't know. So I haven't put no dairy as an out because I feel like I'm going to just do like maybe 99.9% no dairy. We'll see. This is my last out for 2025. And I heard this on somebody else's ins and outs. And I just laughed because it was so authentic to me as well. Fucking tap water. Tap water is a big out in 2025. I actually don't know how people drink tap water. I can tell tap water immediately because I can literally taste the chemicals. I can literally taste bleach and chemicals. Even if you put tap water ice cubes in my filtered water, I can taste the chemicals. I've got like a superhuman ability to like taste chemicals and things. Tap water has always been out for me, but it's a really big out for me. I will no longer tolerate tap water in any fucking form because also as part of our IVF journey, we are eliminating as many like kind of like toxins and chemicals and anything that is, you know, to the best of our ability. Because to be honest with you, everything's a fucking hormonal disruptor, but tap water is out. Gluten's out, not happy about it. Happy to say goodbye to tap water. Those are my ins and outs of 2025. They are so specific and unique to me. So when you're looking at your ins and outs, think about like, what are you no longer fucking bringing with you in 2025? Like, what did you do, tolerate, ways you thought, felt, conversations, people, like whatever it is, what are you like not coming with me in 2025? Those are your outs. And then think about, okay, what are the goals, visions, things that I want to create for myself in 2025? Like, who do I want to be on the 31st of December, 2025? Like, what will she have created? Who will I have become? And then that's your ins. Like, what do you need to implement now so that you can embody the version of you who already has those things now? So I hope that helps. I want to know what you agreed with, didn't agree with, what you loved of my ins and outs. What are you going to adopt yourself, or what are your ins and outs for 2025? Get clear on it. It's been such a cool process. And I feel like I didn't have to like sit down and like write this episode. This was already things that I had already been like really clear on at the end of 2024. And I've already implemented these things now. And we're only like halfway through January. So if you haven't done this yet, if you're not clear on what the fuck you are not tolerating in 2025 from 2024 and what you are focusing your energy on and a big ins for you this year, do this for yourself. It's such a great gift to give yourself to get clear on what you're no longer fucking tolerating and what you are calling in and who you're becoming in 2025. Thanks so much for checking in and being with me in this episode. Love you guys. Thanks for the reviews. If you want to leave me a review this week, that would be so cool because it's the best fucking thing to get a notification that someone has left me a review, and then I get to go read your beautiful words and try to figure out who it was. And I'm so lucky because the 3 that were left, I like knew exactly who they were. So thank you so much to Ali, Amy, and Jade for your beautiful reviews. Love you guys. See you next time. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. If you loved this episode, be sure to share that with me by leaving me a review And head over to the She Who Dares official Instagram account at She Who Dares Official, hit follow, slide into my DMs, and share with me the impact this episode has had on you. And before you go, I'm going to leave you with this. The universe is responding to you. It is following your lead. You are the one who has to move first. And when you do, the whole universe will move with you, because it's I lead, the universe follows. When I move, the universe moves with me. That is our official She Who Dares mantra. I want you to write it down, put it on a mirror, and I want you to remind yourself of it every day. When I lead, the universe follows. When I move, the universe moves with me. When you follow this She Who Dares mantra, you are going to unlock the magic of the universe, and you are stepping into your most powerful self. I can't wait to see you for the next episode. Thanks for being here.